to be titled.
Which is what? Is
Submarines are not real.
that what makes them happy?
I guess, me not titling that seemed to really bother people. And they really want to talk about it today. So, don't really understand. Like, it's such a weird thing. Why don't we do this? And this is what I keep trying to like, I have to change my own thinking here. This is an adjustment that I have to make. Instead of me proving to you how they're not real, you prove to me they are. It should be simple, right? Prove that submarines are real. Now you're going to say shit like, go look up pictures. Okay. What proof does that have? Do we all believe that pictures can't be faked? Does everybody have this idea in their head that if it's photographed, it has to be true? Do we not understand what Photoshop is? How about all the submarine videos are fake? What submarine videos? What are you talking about? Are you talking about submarine boats going across the surface of the water with the top sticking out and the people riding out, waving the flags and stuff? Yeah, there's lots of those videos. Are you talking about the videos of inside the submarines where the people move around and they're not affected by the movement of the submarine even a little bit? To the point where they can crash through ice, 3 foot, 4 foot thick ice, and it doesn't jostle them even a little bit. They can write, they can draw, blah, blah, blah. Or are you talking about the 2 videos that I was able to find, which you'd think there'd be a lot, that one is clearly a model, and the submarine is just being, it's like a remote control submarine in a small little pool. Or the other one that the scuba divers just happened to, the submarine went below them. Is that the one you're talking about? Which is, again, maybe 30 feet below the surface, maybe. You believe we haven't scavenged the bottom of the ocean remotely? Of course we haven't. Of course we haven't. Why do you believe it? That's the bigger question. Why do you believe it? Are you someone that believes the government doesn't lie to you? Is that what it is? You think the government, the system, tells you the truth about everything? I mean, the idea of a remote control vessel that can go deep down, yeah, that's probably true. As long as there's no air pockets. But anytime you start talking about something with air inside, with pressurized air inside of it, I have a hard time. The fact you don't think we've sent robots in the ocean is crazy. Yep, it's crazy because I have a concept of how heavy water is. Again, I think there's some aspects of it. But I definitely don't think that there's anything that we can do. We can't go in. There's not big giant submarines that can hold 80 school buses that are as big as 80 school buses that are swimming around in the ocean like a fucking whale or some shit. Yep, I don't know how equalization of pressure works in subs. Yep, that's what it is. Yep. Because again, the submarine is so good that these submarines that they just built in the early 1950s, in 1952, they were like, we need nuclear subs. And then Rickover just fucking made them. He's just like, yeah, I happen to know how to make nuclear subs. These submarines, every 10 feet you go down in the water, the pressure increases by a lot. So you need to have the right amount of pressure pushing out. And if you have too much pressure, it's going to put unnecessary strain on the sides. And if you don't have enough pressure, it's going to crush it. So these computers, these pressurized whatever, They know how to sense every foot that you're going down. They add a little bit of pressure, and then they take the pressure away somehow. But see, this is, it always comes back to the same shit. If you've ever taken a 2-liter bottle to the beach, I mean, I highly suggest you guys do this. Go to a pool. Go somewhere where there's water and have a 2-liter. And have the cap for it. Put the cap on. And remember, this isn't even pressurized. This is just sealed. And try to take it down to the bottom of the pool. Put half of it full of water and take it down to the bottom of the pool. See how easy that is. You know, see how easy it is to do these simple things. And the real thing is, like, look, if submarines were real, there would be videos. This is the part where it's always like, I don't even bother. Like, what's the point of talking to you when you can't even be, you know, realistic in your argument? You know, it's one thing to say, oh, you're crazy and I don't understand this, blah, blah, blah. When I show you the video, or you go look it up, of the submarine, supposedly, this is what they tell me they're doing. I'm not there. The submarine is ascending at 10 feet per second, starting down about 100 feet below the surface, where it then ascends up 10 feet per second and then crashes through the 3 or 4 foot deep thick ice up above. The camera is on the cockpit, you know, the what's it called? The conning tower. It's showing, again, for some strange reason, not only are there people driving, but there's also a bunch of guys standing around. And as they crash through the ice, not a single one of them even staggers a little bit. Now, this is such an obvious thing to me, because it's like, maybe you've never been in a plane, a train, on a boat, or anything like that. But even in your car, it's the same thing. Now, it's not just your car, though. Imagine if you were in the back of a moving van, right? In the back of a cargo truck while it's driving. Do you think you don't feel every little tiny bit of acceleration, every deceleration, you know, every turn, every movement? You think that the people in the submarines, they'll just be walking around, crawling around, you know, using their what's it called? The thing that makes the circles. The fuck is it called? The point and make a circle with it?
Compass.
Yeah, the compass. They can use their compasses. You know, they're talking on the phone. Hey, look at me. I'm on the phone. Burp, burp, burp. They're doing all sorts of things. Again, that had to be probably the most holy shit convincing part of that thing for you, right, chubby girl? When I showed you the video of them breaking through the ice and no one moved. Isn't that like the holy shit moment? Maybe he's right kind of thing.
Yes.
That's the part where if you're not willing to address that point, then there's no point in us having the conversation, right? Videos of submarines coming up from, you know, they're submerged. The submarine is ascending. If you look, the couple videos that show, they literally show water, and then suddenly, pop, the submarine pops, and then it does like that. It just pops up out of the water, and it, like, you know, if you let go of something, if you were holding something underwater and you let it go and it just popped up and it, you know, it didn't come up slowly and, you know, come out of the water slowly, evenly. And see, there we go. I've made the argument now for a good 10 minutes. Not a single fucking person can make any sort of argument here. How does one have to go to be considered a submarine if it can go 10 to 20 feet underwater? It's real. Yep, that's what it is. Depends on the air pressure, bro. What the fuck? Yep. It depends on the air pressure on whether the people move from the movements. Gotcha. Like, it's dumb. Yeah, buoyancy. Yeah, I know. I know what buoyancy is. Right? But that's when you see the videos of the inside of the sub, the people on the inside aren't like, whoa, when they come out of the water. They just go up slowly. But see, again, this is like, you're just stupid, I guess, or you're just here to argue. One of the two. It's not like a flat earth argument that you're doing here. Yeah, I definitely don't think the earth is round. And it's one of these things where I just don't understand. Why does it make people so mad? I think again, it makes you mad because you know it's true and you're not smart enough to debunk it. So you get yourself in these conversations, in these arguments, but you don't know shit. You know, you're dumb. You haven't looked into any of this shit. All these people that argue with me about submarines, you're like, yeah, my cousin was on a submarine, so that somehow makes me an expert now. Yeah, it's just buoyancy. Buoyancy. Like, it's amazing how... Reset your phone. How willing you are to be stupid. Right? You want to be this way. You're telling yourself that people on the inside of a submarine shouldn't feel movements? And this is literally the same sort of stupid ass argument, like the whole Israel genocide J conspiracy thing. It's very obvious. It's right in front of your face. You know, I can make a bunch of arguments to show it, but you can't make any arguments against it. I'm not even bothering anymore. Sorry. Yeah. And it's ballast. Yep, ballast tanks, right? Because again, if you have a giant pressurized, like if you have a 2-liter, you notice how if you take a 2-liter of pop that's unopened and you throw it in the water, does it sink to the bottom?
No.
Nope. Floats. Full of whatever liquid is inside it, and it's pressurized, it floats. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to hold it down. But you think a thing that's as big as this, you think something this size can have a ballast tank here and a ballast tank here. And if those little ballast tanks fill with water, then the thing can just go around and go underwater and just, God, you're so dumb. It's just amazing how stupid they have you willingly and like defiantly stupid. You're like, no, I know this goes against all common sense, but I'm going to believe it because they want me to. Make that 2 TOO later? You're not even talking sense. The bottle is also plastic. Okay, so? What, you think that matters? I'm saying an object that is full. It doesn't matter if it's metal. If it's a sealed, pressurized container, you're not sinking that thing if it's full of air. And you're definitely not sinking it with a tiny ballast tank or something. And then there's the breathing aspect of things. Like, you honestly think they create air by first distilling the salt water into fresh water. Then they run an electrical current through that fresh water, which separates the oxygen molecules from the hydrogen molecules. And then they capture all those oxygen molecules, and now you can breathe. It's really shocking, man. it's shocking how like arrogantly, willingly stupid we all are. Like people acting like, you know, first of all, again, people acting like they know anything about this. But people acting like I just, you know, I just say it. I don't know. I don't have any reason to say it. I'm going to say this thing that nobody else is saying that seemingly for some fucked up reason makes people so mad that they'd rather talk about submarines than the J conspiracy theory or J conspiracy to control the world. That they'd rather talk about me not believing in submarines than the genocide taking place right now. Then the fact that AIPAC and Israel basically own all of our Congress. You know, like you guys are so. It's clearly either just a bunch of really stupid people or a bunch of Israeli bots. One can scuba dive, or is that fake? Because maybe I'll combust 50 feet underwater. Yeah, I guess. What? Do you realize like how much air is in the scuba tank compared to like the size of it and then your body and all that shit? Like that's just, again, you're just talking stupidity. You just have no concept of any of it. And because you haven't bothered to look into the history of it, you don't realize just how stupid it is. You know, how this idea that in the 50s, they just made nuclear subs. And then, you know, again, it's like you guys just don't know your history. If I say who is Cornelius Drebbel, nobody's going to know. You guys don't know shit. Can you scuba dive then? Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. You also, you know, with those big scuba, you have to have weighted suits and weighted tanks, and everything's weighted because it's impossible. Why don't they have big giant scuba tanks then, right? Why do scuba tanks remain the same size they pretty much always have been? How come they don't have these huge scuba tanks that people can, you know, stay underwater for long periods of time because of it? And then even when you say that, like, if they have a system that can convert water into air, pull the air out of the water, why the fuck do we even need scuba tanks? I'm trying to get your thoughts here. I feel like you're understanding why can't a sub be weighed. Because you're not understanding how big this thing is. We are talking about something that is so fucking 80 school buses worth of pressurized air inside a container. You're not thinking about things. Doesn't matter how much weight is in there. That's a ton of pressurized air. And if you know, like your body, your own personal body, all it takes is a breath of air and you can't sink down. I don't know how much air that is, how much of my vessel is now full of air by me taking a deep breath. It's not a lot. I wouldn't imagine it's much more than like maybe 10% of my body. And yet if I have a breath of air, I can't sink to the bottom of the pool. I have to spit all that air out in order to sink to the bottom. Right? Right. So that one gulp of air can keep me floating. But yet 80 school buses worth of air, pressurized, that thing can just go. And there's another video. There's a video on YouTube titled submarine descends like a whale or something like that. And you'd think like the submarine, what, dips down and its tail pops up? The video they show, the submarine is spitting out air. Just these huge geysers of air. And it's not even going down. It goes down a little bit, and then they cut the video, and then it comes back, and it's still spitting out, and then they cut the video, and then it's like, that wouldn't make any sense. Submarines, the whole purpose of submarines is to be covert, is to be like, you know, hidden. The idea that your thing can't go down without spitting out geysers of air. And it takes it like 5 minutes. I don't even know how long it's supposed to take. But this is another one of those just simple, stupid things. You should be able to look up submarines underwater, and YouTube be full of those fucking videos. Why wouldn't it? It's amazing how stupid, right? It's just stupid. They have us stupid for a reason. The Jays have us Goyim stupid for a reason. The fact is, I've provided the best distraction by saying I simply don't believe in something. So now again, we're sitting here talking about shit that really doesn't matter. Whether or not I believe in submarines doesn't matter. The truth is, we can't know the truth about submarines until we overthrow the Jays that control the narrative to begin with.
Are you low on the tabs I just sent?
Nope. What's the difference between atmospheric pressure and gravity? Gravity's not real. That's the difference. There is no such thing as gravity. In regards to density, that's preposterous, and even Guy would agree. There's no such thing as gravity. Everything that you believe about gravity is easily explained by buoyancy and density, except for the idea that gravity makes things stick to the earth, sort of. But it makes the earth, the moon revolve around the earth, and the earth revolve around the sun. The same exact gravity that keeps us stuck to a spinning ball at going 1,000 miles an hour at the equator also makes things revolve around each other. You believe there's a magic force, an invisible, unprovable. It's not like you can measure gravity, or there's not like a gravity measuring machine. If you believe in gravity, they have you. Like, gravity is stupid. Gravity is an invisible force, right? Right. A trust me force. You want to see me defy gravity right now? I'll disprove gravity for you. You guys ready? There you go. Look at that. All by itself. There's no magical force pulling me down, pulling my hair down to my head. I'll agree to disagree. Anytime somebody says I agree to disagree, it's because you're making points that they can't answer for, and they're not big enough to acknowledge that. Let's just agree to disagree. Well, you must have run out of shit to say. And again, because you're not going to acknowledge that I'm making points that you can't come up with a fucking answer for, now you want to agree to disagree. I'm also, but I can see your point here. I'm also not very knowledgeable, but the same reason I believe the earth is round is the same reason I believe in submarines. Exactly. The same reason you believe the earth is round is the same reason you believe in submarines. That's actually the truest, smartest thing you've said. Because you're right. The only reason you believe the earth is round and goes against your personal experience is because the system tells you to believe it. You literally have not a single fucking reason, no reason whatsoever to believe the earth is round. In your own personal existence, in your own personal experience, you have no reason to believe that. You all seem to forget about magnetism and electromagnetism because gravity's a weak ass force. Your hair has little mass, so yep, that's what it is. Gravity is a weak force. It's the thing that keeps the water, the gajillion, fulfillion pounds of water, stuck to a ball that's spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. It's such a strong, actually, gravity would have to be the most intelligent force, right? Because gravity knows exactly how much pressure it takes to keep the water where it is and let it move in all the different directions and waves and all that. While also knowing, oh, hey, that's a little cottonseed. Don't put the same pressure on the water that you put on that cottonseed. Let the cottonseed float. You just don't realize how dumb they have you. And then when you start to realize it, you get mad because you don't see yourself as stupid. You see yourself as intelligent. So when shit starts making you feel dumb, you resist it. Oh, no, I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. It's not about the situation. It's about your own personal shit. Now I'm trying to target you, yep. Cause good, blah, blah, blah. You see it again. Blondie, so how come gravity has to be a constant if it's not a constant? Right. The Earth is an oblate spheroid. Right. Never mind all the pictures you've seen that show you a round ball. Because every other object that we see is round except us. Is it? Is it? Is it really round? It's a circle. But you see a bunch of lights in the sky. And you have no reason to think those would be anything other than lights. Well, except for the thing tells you to. The system tells you to. The moon produces its own light. It produces cool light. If you stand out in the moonlight as opposed to underneath a tree, it's actually cooler in the moonlight than it is underneath the shade. It's been proven. But that's your reasoning, right? Your reasoning is because, again, you've been told that everything else is round, so we have to be round too. Isn't that amazing how that works? Now while you are targeting me, calling me dumb and shit, bro. Nobody's calling you dumb. See, this is again, now you're personalizing things and you're doing everything you can to avoid what's being said. Right? This is deflecting. I'm saying they have us stupid. That's how stupid they have you. They have us. We're supposed to be this stupid. And you're like, no, I'm not. No, see, again, you're taking everything personally. You're making things personal. And because you do that instinctively, you feel attacked when somebody attacks an argument. It's the same thing with Christianity. You know, if Christianity or Judaism or whatever, if any of those things are true, why do all of them have such a hard time talking about it? I believe I'm telling the truth, so I can go live and talk about it freely. I don't have any problems. I don't mind being wrong. If I'm wrong, then I'll adjust. That's how I got to the position I'm at. You think my whole life I didn't believe in submarines? No, I was a little boy at one point. I thought submarines were cool. I want to be on a submarine. Da 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 da. I changed my mind. When was the last time any of you changed your mind? You ever think about that? Most of the shit you believe in, you've believed the same shit since you were a kid. Since long before you could actually experience the thing, you believed what you were told. And when this is why Hollywoodism is the most important video any of you can see. It's more important than 200 proofs. It's more important than loose change, zeitgeist, Obama deception, Tonka Sheila. You know, it's more important than any of those videos. You guys really need to go watch Hollywoodism.
Who is that guy?
That's Booty Judge. Why is everything round that we look at except us? You ever like be at a pool and look in the pool and see the lights? Well, those lights are circular. They look circular, they look wavy, they look whatever, but you see a little circle. You don't see the entire light bulb. You don't go, oh, look, no, that's a light bulb. No, you just see that round surface. You have been convinced of something that it's a dumb argument. You know, it's just a dumb argument. Because the lights that we see up in the sky produce light. We don't produce light. But if everything we see produces light, then why don't we? It's like that same thing. It's just foolish. And you can't be that slow. Round doesn't mean spherical. There you go. It's almost like mass has done kind of relationship with gravity. Okay. How do planes fly if gravity How do planes fly if gravity doesn't exist? This guy doesn't even know what gravity is. If gravity exists, planes shouldn't fly. This big, heavy, multi-ton vehicle has, however many pounds per square inch of gravity pulling down on it. No. And just like how pilots don't have to constantly adjust the nose of the plane because they're going around a fucking ball, same shit, man. But I appreciate you making such a dumb argument. Don't forget about the flat moon up air pulling on the water too. You only believe that the moon affects the tides because they tell you to. And of course, the moon affects the oceans, but not the lakes and rivers and shit. It affects some of the water, not all the water. Of course, that makes sense. I can't figure out if you're saying the earth is round or flat. I'm not saying it's either. I don't think it's flat, and I don't think it's a round ball flying through space. It's not perfectly round on those pictures if you measure it. Oh, right, because you're measuring the earth now. I gotta get out of here before I turn dumb like this guy. Yep, that's what it is. So instead of you answering for any of the things that are being brought up, you better run the fuck away. Yes, he has an ego, but I'll let it slide because he's very knowledgeable. Who doesn't have an ego? Why do you guys think ego is bad? Ego and arrogance are two completely different things. Ego is you knowing exactly what you're good at and being knowledgeable and being, fit for whatever it is. Arrogance is you guys thinking that you know more about submarines than me without having done any research whatsoever. You don't know anything about it, but you know I'm wrong. That's arrogance. Everybody should have a fantastic ego. You should have a very strong ego. You should know exactly what you're good at, and don't let anybody shit all over you or anything like that because of their own arrogance. Know what you're good at and be good at it and be proud of it. If I say this all the time, if I, instead of doing this every day, I set up my phone outside and you guys watched me practice basketball. I shot hoop after hoop. You guys watched me make 10,000 shots or shoot 10,000 shots. And gradually you watched as I got better at shooting. I got more accurate. And I got better at dribbling and all that stuff. And after doing it for 5, 10 years, whatever, I started saying, you know what? I'm fucking great at this. I'm better than most people. I'm better than you watching me. Well, unless you're in the NBA or you play like a lot, for you to think you're better than a guy that you watch practice for hours every day is arrogance. I don't think I could just beat some 20-year-old basketball player. No, I don't think I'm 46 years old. I can't do that. If we got into a math competition, probably wouldn't do too well in that. Once we got into complicated, I can do pretty well with like basic math, but if we got into a conversation about taxes, I don't know shit about that. You want to talk about the best way to put on some makeup? No idea. The best way to do some nails? No idea. You want to talk about this J conspiracy? I know more than you do. You want to talk about this religion in general? I know more than you do. You want to talk about submarines? I know more than you do. That's not ego, or that's not arrogance, that's ego. That's confidence in knowing that I know these things because of the effort I've put into it. Yeah. Okay, dude, you want to be in your feelings about it? Be in your feelings. I don't care. So you're saying that's why it's flat, because it makes the earth colder in the shadow. Yep, that's what I said. I was like, the earth is flat because it makes the earth colder in the shadow. That's what I said. Man, it's so difficult to try to talk to people and like how stupid they are. You know, you've been made to be this stupid, this arrogant, this foolish. You know, it's self-policing mechanisms. It's all this kind of shit that keeps we police each other, we self-police. And again, let me start talking about genocide and none of you will have anything to say. Let me start talking about the J conspiracy and the only thing that I'll hear is how I'm not supposed to talk about it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, there go. There's a world. I didn't know these people exist for real. Great. This guy, so this guy can make this long ass comment, but can't say anything. Oh, this guy said subs are definitely real, so that must mean it's real. Gotcha. Are you a flat earth or no? No, I'm not. I'm a person. Do I believe the earth is a round ball flying through space? Fuck no. Let's talk about what you guys believe, right? First of all, I would safely assume that the majority of you are Christians or identify as Christian. So the fact that you believe in any of it in the first place just shows you how ignorant you are. You identify as something and you don't know about it. You don't know what the first thing your book says. Right? But what you guys believe, I love these, the what you guys believes. What you guys believe, and I know it because I used to believe it too, is that if you stand up right now and you just spin in a circle and you think about everybody that's on here doing the exact same thing, standing there spinning in a circle, looking around, everything that all of us can see, and then in infinity times more than that, the universe is infinitely big, and there are billions and billions of galaxies and blah, 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 all this bullshit, right? Everything that exists in the universe, the one part I never understand is does the edge exist in this and the black stuff exist, or like, because everything that exists is condensed down into something smaller than a match head, and that's called the singularity. And that, amazingly enough, it's all being pushed down on itself by gravity, magical gravity, right? I'm not going to read any comments for a minute because I can't do both. Magical gravity, right? Gravity is holding all of the stuff, pressing it in on itself so much so. And again, does the Big Bang, the singularity, exist in the big empty universe? Or is it like on a white sheet of paper and it's just not like, it's the same thing as, well, what was before God? What created God? Because Christians love to argue, oh, atheists believe that everything that we see just came from nothing. that something can come from nothing. Well, what came before God? No, there is no before God. God created God. Like the it's just stupidity. Again, it's programmed stupidity, because you know that phrase, that statement doesn't make any sense. You're mad that atheists believe that things came from nothing, but God could come from nothing. But because of gravity, everything is being pressed down into this small little match head. It's squeezing and squeezing. And then suddenly, it explodes. Big bang. And because our telescopes allow us to look back in time, apparently, we actually know that there's the Big Bang is actually a flash, and then there's a dark period, and then there's the period where the little singularity starts spitting out all of the debris. Just all of the debris and stardust that ends up making up everything. This thing is just like a geyser, just in every direction. Now, smaller than a match head means that as soon as the particles are 10, 15 feet away from the initial explosion, everything's getting further and further away from each other, right? The bigger the circle goes, the small, like all that stuff from, it's all getting further away from each other. And yet, now, instead of gravity collapsing everything into the singularity, now there are all these little individual gravity pockets everywhere. And those gravity pockets, they get to spinning, and they get to swirling, and they just get to whirlpooling and swirling and swirling. And they start pulling in all the debris. All this little tiny dust particles start clumping up in the center of this gravity pocket. And the clumps just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And to the point where, like, our sun is actually really small compared to Beetlejuice. You ever seen that video, that the CGI video of, like, this is the moon, this is the earth, this is Jupiter, this is our sun, this is this star, this is this star, and then eventually you get up to Beetlejuice and you can't even see our sun anymore because Beetlejuice is so big. Apparently, gravity pulls all these clumps in onto each other. Then when they get to the desired size that the clump wants to be at, in the vacuum, airless, gravityless space, this thing lights itself on plasma fire. Suddenly we have the sun, right? This perpetually burning plasma fire in space, no oxygen, and this thing has lit itself on fire. Now, in the gravityless, directionless, vacuum of space, turns out there's a top and a bottom. Who knew? A north and a south pole, which again is just a stupid thought when you think about, like, why would that be that way? Why would it be a north and a south pole and not, why aren't the poles in different spots? There's no up or down in the universe and in space, so why would there be a north and a south pole? But now, along the center line of that sun, out billions, millions of miles out, more little gravity clumps, more little gravity pools start happening. And this time, all the little space debris clumps, they're now clumping up around this sun thing in concentric orbits. They all are orbiting, going the same way and all that. It all just works out that way. But these clumps, well, if they are within the submivious zone, which Mars isn't, but if they are within certain area, the inside of these clumps lights itself on fire. Perpetual lava fire. While the outside, now there's layers because different layers of clumped onto this ball, and now the inside is molten metal, while the outside is rock. And in our case, it just happened to start raining because we're in the semivious zone. And the semivious zone is where we have calculated that if a planet is that far away from the sun, then life can exist, right? Looks like the comments have been shut off. Sorry. So now on our planet, not on every planet, but on our planet, it just starts raining. One day it starts raining. And it doesn't stop raining. And eventually it rains so much that the oceans fill with salt water, while which it doesn't rain salt water, but the ocean's filled with salt water. And then a bunch of freshwater lakes and rivers and shit also formed. But what they say is, at some point, a rock fell from the sky. Dun, dun, dun. And this rock, when it crashed, it had a single-celled organism on it that survived the crash from falling out of space into the earth, burning and crashing, and it falls, and the single-celled organism survives. Now, the single-celled organism exists in that way for millions of years, I don't know, until suddenly it decides to divide. And now it's a double-celled organism. And after so much longer, it divides again, and eventually the single-celled organism turns into all of the fish. All the different fish, the mammal fish, the fish, they all turn into the fish. The ocean the waters are populated with fish now. And this is this way for a really long time. Well, one day, one of the fish with its girlfriend decides that they're just going to walk out of the water. Now, that's like saying one day a human just decides that they can breathe in the water. Well, one day this fish just decides it can breathe out of the water, hops on out, and I guess starts walking around. I don't really know. But after some time, that fish turns into big giant lizards. Big giant monster lizards, way bigger than we can even really comprehend. We make all these rides, Jurassic Park, and while also the fish turned into a bunch of little smaller creatures and also learned how to fly. The fish turned into birds. Well, not birds, but pterodactyls and shit. You know, the pterodactyl was the flying dinosaur. And dinosaurs existed for millions and millions and hundreds of millions of years. The earth had dinosaurs on them. Until one day, when suddenly another rock falls from the sky. You know, rocks falling out of the sky. And this time, this rock wipes out everything. Except for, I guess, maybe some small little creatures. Who knows? Luckily, I would assume the fish could come out of the water again and start turning into shit. Because this time, the fish come out of the water and they were like, hey, you know those dinosaurs, they were just too big. We couldn't sustain that for much longer than 300 fucking million years. Why don't we tone it down a little bit? This time we're going to make giraffes and monkeys and wolves and bears and not unicorn, horses and rhinoceroses and hippopotami and, you know, all these different things. The fish turn into that. And it's that way for a while until suddenly one day the monkeys specifically the chimpanzee fish, turn into humans. Now, tigers don't turn into humans. Lions and bears, oh my, none of them turn into humans. But the monkeys turn into humans. And then they live basically the same way for millions of years. And then suddenly in like the 1800s, we're like, hey, we figured it all out. Now we can build telescopes that look back in time, and that's how you all believe things work, while also believing in God, because most of you believe in both. Most of you believe in some sort of Big Bang. You believe in outer space in some way, shape, or form. You believe in comets. You believe in asteroids hitting the Earth. You believe that shit. Hang on a sec. Sometimes that resets the comments. Now it just takes the comments away completely. Let's try again. Nope. I can't even see any comments now. Nothing. So think about how interesting that is. And then there's the other side, right? You believe that God just sort of appeared one day. And again, does God appear in the empty universe? Or does God also make the universe? Never really get to know. So weird. It used to fix it if I would go off and come back on, and then the comments would reset. But they fixed that. Seems weird that YouTube is progressing backwards, but hey, good job, YouTube. But you guys that believe in God, you believe that God just sort of appears. And God's like, I want some naked people to worship me. That's what I'm gonna make a planet. And then I'm gonna at first I'm gonna be all about it. I'm gonna be like really involved. And so I'm gonna make Adam. I'll make this little garden. You know what? That's what I want to do today. I gotcha.
Are you getting involved?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is Lilith. Lilith in the Bible. Okay. Lilith. I bet you guys won't guess who Lilith is, right? What's the funny little secret about Lilith? You guys know? Let's find out, shall we? Lilith, also spelled Lilith, Lilitu, or Lilis, because you spell your name like Angela, Anplga, Alggggg. I mean, why not, right?
She was named after a goddess, so they kept changing the names to...
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Okay, well, according to them, I'm wrong. According to the universe, I'm not. But okay.
All right, because the universe has a direct line to you, and you know. Lilith is a feminine figure in Mesopotamian and Jewish mythology, theorized to be the first wife of Adam. Did you guys know that? And a primordial she-demon. Oh man, women. Why a woman would be a Christian or Muslim, but why Christianity paints women as the ultimate bad guys? They are what's wrong with everything. Even in Lot's situation with the Sodom and Gomorrah thing, the woman is the stupid one who looks back even when she's told not to, and becomes a pillar of salt. It's fucking insane, right? All right, so Lilith is cited as having been banished from the Garden of Eden for not complying with and obeying Adam. Isn't that interesting? Oh, look. Here's a famous painting from 1887. Isn't that weird how it's 1887?
Naked with a snake, because, women are sluts.
The original Hebrew word from which the name Lilith is taken in the biblical Hebrew in the book of Isaiah, though Lilith herself is not mentioned.
I thought Hebrew was a new language. How does that work?
Biblical Hebrew. Because they rewrote things to make it fit their narrative. What you don't understand is Hebrew is the newest language on the planet. Which is really strange, too, because you think about, like, nobody else has come up with a new language. Huh?
It wasn't in existence in biblical times, supposedly, right?
Well, no, it was, and then it was, like, went out of use, and then it was revived.
What language did they switch to
Yiddish.
in the meantime?
Yiddish. They spoke Yiddish.
Oh.
Though Lilith herself is not mentioned in any biblical text. In late antiquity, in Mandean and Jewish sources from 500 AD onward, Lilith appears in Historalis. Historalis, which is incantations incorporating a short mythic story. Again, it's funny. It's saying 500 AD. Sources from so not from 499 or 472, from exactly 500, huh? That's convenient for your narrative. Especially considering until the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, the earliest known biblical texts were from around 900. Weird how this story keeps changing. In various concepts and localities that give partial descriptions of her. She is mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud, in the conflict of Adam and Eve with Satan as Adam's first wife, and in Zohar, some double S thing, Leviticus 19a, as a hot, fiery female who first cohabitated with man. Many rabbinic authorities, including Maimonides and Menachem Mary, reject the existence of Lilith. The name Lilith stems from Lilu, Litu, and Wardat, I don't know. The Akkadian word Lilu is related to the Hebrew word Lilith appearing in Isaiah 34:14, which is thought to be a night bird by some modern scholars, such as Judith M. Blair. In Mesopotamian religion, found in the cuneiform text of Sumer, Assyria, and Babylonia, Lilitu is a spirit or demon. Many have also connected her to the Mesopotamian demon Lameshtu, who shares similar traits and a similar position in mythology to Lilith. Lilith continues to serve as a source of material in today's literature, popular culture, Western. See, what's amazing to me is, like, Angela would get really mad at me for talking about that, but, like, you don't see how you've been tricked. The whole Lilith fair, the whole idea of Lilith, where do you think it came from? Why do you think the symbol for, like, women empowerment
is a sacred prostitute?
Is a woman who, no, I mean, you have the one side, which, again, I'm not against you, but you have the one side that makes, the prostitute, blah, 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 but then you have the other side where it's the woman who refused to obey and, like, stood up, like, I'm not listening to no man, So it's like there's not an easy version where they coexist together, they're even, She listens to him, he listens to her. You know, they get along. That's never the story that's presented to us. The story is either you pick this one or you pick this one. And why do you think the Lilith Fair is always full of lesbian broads and man-haters? Why do you think so many women in that regard identify with this woman? Why do you think that idol was given to you guys in the first place? There's not another woman from history that could be more of a source of inspiration of some sort? No, it's the woman who doesn't listen. It's amazing how that works. In some Jewish folklore, such as the alphabet of Sirach from 700 to 1000 AD, somewhere in that 300 years, Lilith appears as Adam's first wife, who was created at the same time and from the same clay as Adam. The legend of Lilith developed extensively during the Middle Ages in the tradition of Agadah, the Zohar, and Jewish mysticism. Why do you think Adam Sandler made that movie? The Zohan, or whatever it was. Terrible, terrible movie. For example, in the 13th century writings of Isaac ben Jacob HaKohen, Isaac ben Jacob, Lilith left Adam after she refused to become subservient to him, and then would not return to the Garden of Eden after she had coupled with the archangel Samiel. Oh, is this where all the other people in the Bible come from? Interpretations of Lilith found in later Jewish materials are plentiful, but little information has survived relating to the Sumerian, Assyrian, and Babylonian views of this class of demons. She's a demon. So God made her out of the same shit that he made Adam and couldn't keep the demon out?
That free will's a motherfucker.
I guess so. All part of God's plan, though. Like, he couldn't have been surprised, right? God had to be like, shit, I knew this was going to happen. Good thing I'm already prepared to make...
No. All the little things that happen are not part of God's plan. It's just the big things. The little things are a result of man's choices from his given free will. Come on now.
What little things? I mean, what big things? What distinguishes which?
Like whether you're ultimately going to be successful. Or
yeah, but that has to do with your little things. That's another little things.
It's not little things.
No, the little choices that you make are what, you decide whether you're going to sleep with that broad. You decide whether you're going to wear a condom.
Pregnant at that moment or not.
Oh, well then then it would have had to been God's plan for me to get there in the first place. And a plan is not something that you determine in real time. A plan is something you make beforehand and then you follow it.
It'd be like a choose your own adventure. This will be the outcome if they choose this. This will be the outcome if they choose this. And this I'll make sure is the outcome if they choose this.
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be a plan.
It's a plan that's
and you couldn't plan for it because, again, every little individual decision deviates from each thing. Like if I would have woken up 10 minutes later this morning, our entire morning would have been different. Who knows? When you think about it from that perspective, like if you get in a car wreck, you have to understand, you left your house at the exact moment you needed to leave your house. If you would have stopped to tie your shoe, if you would have stopped to grab the mail or something like that, you'd have forgotten something and come back in the house. Well, at that exact second that other person was there, or the deer ran out or whatever it was, that wouldn't have happened. Anyway, interpretations of Lilith, recent scholarship has disputed the relevance of two sources previously used to connect the Jewish Lilith to an Akkadian Lilitu. Like they're different names. The Gilgamesh Appendix and the Arslan Tash amulets. Oh, those are the two things. In contrast, some scholars, such as Lowell K. Handy, hold the view that though Lilith derives from Mesopotamian demonology, evidence of the Hebrew Lilith being present in the sources frequently cited, the Sumerian Gilgamesh fragment and the Sumerian incantation from Arshlal Tash being 2, is scant if present at all. I mean, it's really stupid. It's all just really stupid. Because like so much worship, so much belief, so many things are associated with these things that when you get down to it, it's not real. Or it's a story that's been told for hundreds of years, so you know it's true. In Hebrew language text, the term Lilith or Lilith translated as night creatures, night monster, night hag, or screech owl. Like again, this is who you're supposedly. That's why they gave it to you, so you could follow the night hag. That's how they then see you as you, somebody that's like, oh, I believe in Lilith and da 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 da. They're like, okay, screeching owl. First occurs in a list of animals in Isaiah 34. The Isaiah 34:14 Lilith reference does not appear in most common Bible translations, such as KJV or NIV. Commentators and interpreters often envision the figure of Lilith as a dangerous demon of the night who is sexually wanton and who steals babies in the darkness. Sure is a good thing that all those kinds of things just don't exist anymore, huh? No more creatures, no more dragons, no more anything that they talk about. No more superpowers, no more God talking to people and building altar telephone, booths that can talk to God. None of that shit exists anymore. Currently, there is no scholarly consensus, with some adhering to the animalistic interpretation, whereas others claim 34:14 is referencing a literal demon or a category of demons falling under the specification of Lilith. Historically, certain prominent Jewish rabbis in Talmudic text feared the likes of Lilith, some to such an extent that they recommended men should not sleep in a home alone, as any who do will be seized by Lilith. Jewish incantation bowls and amulets from Mesopotamia were the first to the 8th were amulets from Mesopotamia from the 1st to the 8th centuries identify Lilith as a female demon and provide the first visual depictions of her. The said amulets were often symbolic divorce papers, warding off a given Lilith that was thought to be haunting one's house or family. Wow. Any way you slice it. Even if, for me, it's obviously all 100% bullshit. But you look at, even if she was good or whatever, this is the narrative that we're given. And if anybody knows this narrative, and then you say, oh yeah, I believe in Lilith, they're like, ugh, you believe in demons? You know what? We'll just reset, because I want to hear what y'all have to say. Unfortunately, I do. So, go get your free download. If you can't come back, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's in the description, along with a link to Hollywoodism, which I believe is the most important movie you can watch, most important piece of information, research, whatever you want to call it, that you can do. is watching Hollywoodism. And there's also a link to one of our songs, one of our videos from Facebook. So you can go to the Facebook page and, subscribe and all that. Don't forget to like, share, and sub. And like I say, I'll be right back. So come on back. Oh, yeah. Oh, almost forgot. Pedophiles, kill yourself.